and strutting, not just walking. Isn't she great? Woo-hoo! Oh my God, I love the energy in here. Did something happen? Okay. I want to see again the people who are here for the first time. You could either stand up or raise your hands. I just want to see you for a second. I want to see you for a second. Hello. So nice to see you. I know you will come back. So we're a little different here. You probably have noticed that. You might call us irreverent. My partner in crime, Reverend Dr. Laura Shackelford, is commonly known as the irreverent Reverend. And proudly. And she's training me, by the way, everybody. She's training me. Because that's an area that could use some growth inside of me, that whole irreverence. And I'm getting there. So I want to ask y'all a question, and you may think it's a little odd at House of God. We might call this the sacred sanctuary. How many people here love to go to the casino and gamble? How many of you? Uh-huh. How many of you win a lot when you go? Like that's your place. You win a lot when you go to the casino. Not so many? Oh, not so many. Okay. Well, I'm really jealous, I have to say. I am really jealous of people who can go to the casino and can even see a possibility of winning. Because, holy confession here, I am jealous, I really am. Because I really wish when I go to the casino I would win. But I never do, ever, never, and never. I've just stopped going. But I love the whole casino vibe, right? It's kind of cool in there. Now that there's no smoking areas, it's really cool. Like it's actually tolerable to be in there. I just like the vibe, but that whole I don't win when I go there thing is such a downer. Yeah. But you know what? I'm a religious scientist, and I know the problem with my not winning is me. It's my consciousness. You see, I believe that if I believed I could win at the casino, man, I would be raking it in. I'd be a gazillionaire by now. And yes, I could do my spiritual work and be a winner at the casino, oh sure. But for some reason, I'm holding back on that because I'm using that power of transformation for other things that are much more important to me. But it brings up a good point here that our consciousness manifests. Before I really launch into my talk, I forgot I wanted to commemorate today's service to somebody very special. Marty Helpman. You guys remember Marty? Marty made his transition last week. Oh, big loss. Yeah, 91 years old. We found out yesterday, Barbara let us know. But man, this guy, I have a feeling he went to the casino. Barbara, did he used to go to the casino? I think you told me he did. Yeah, see, You wonder he's not here? He is here right now. He's been with me all week helping me with my talk because he knows that the topic is very relevant because he lived a life where he knew that he could walk anywhere and good would flow. And so today, this is dedicated to good old Marty. Love him. Yeah. So anyway, back to me and my consciousness problems with casinos. So this whole idea about consciousness manifesting, no matter whether we're in a casino or we're out in the real world. And my big thing of gratitude is that casino thing I do doesn't happen in the real world with me, the real world. My regular world, I have such a big consciousness of knowing that good is always flowing in every area of my life, and I'm really grateful that I have that in my everyday life. And so Ernest Holmes says this, there comes to each the logical and exact result of his own receptivity. So for me in the casino, I am not receptive to getting my good there. I am very receptive to getting my good anywhere else but the casino. But that's how it is for all of us, right? We determine where we're going to get our good. And if we're going to say it's only going to be here and here, we're missing out on so much good. And a lot of us, as we walk into the world, myself included, there's risks that have to be taken in order to open ourselves up to greater good. And for me, I would never really describe myself as a risk taker. Defining myself and my more salient attributes, risk taker isn't one of them. However, when I look at my life, I see that I have taken a lot of risks. Because for me, When my life is just at a standstill, or I'm not happy, or things aren't moving in the right direction, I realize it's risk time. I realize that in order to make change happen, I'm going to have to step out of my comfort zone and into the unknown. And many of you know my story, how I came to the desert. This always gets groans. I lived in Santa Barbara. All right, I lived in Santa Barbara. Beautiful paradise. Yeah. But it wasn't paradise in here, and that's what really matters. This was not paradise. I was unhappy. I didn't like my life there. I didn't have friends. I just didn't have a whole lot of anything. And I had a good friend that moved out to Palm Desert, and she invited me down just for a weekend visit. And as soon as I opened my car door and stepped outside, I knew, I'm home. This is my new home, and 9 months later I landed. But it was a huge risk. I had no job here. I had one friend, and I didn't have any life here. But to me, it was so worth taking the risk because it was better to go into the unknown and know that new possibilities existed for me rather than living a stagnant reality. And so risk is really important. But I know with risk, there's a whole mind trip with risk because risk does mean risking danger. You know, that is a part of risk. But I believe it's time for us to see risk differently. Now, by the way, just to let you know, side note, this QR code will get you to my slides. If you want my slide presentation, go to the QR code. You know how to, I'm not going to educate you on how to do that, but if you go there with your camera, it'll direct you directly to my slides today. And it's also on the website, and it will be in our e-blast. Back to the talk. All right, so we want to remove the fear of taking risks because that's blocking a lot of good from happening in our lives. And so really, the whole thing about fear and risk is the ego's issue because our egos, and God bless our egos, they're just keeping us safe, right? Just keeping us safe and out of danger. But that's crippling, really crippling, especially when there's something on the heart that wants to be lived into. And so I tell you, the ego is just doing its job, keeping us out of danger because it prevents us from going into the unknown because the unknown could be dangerous. And so if we're keeping ourselves in that energy, we're never going to make change in our lives. We're never going to make risks. And those risks open doors for us. And so what looks like risk to the ego is actually expansion and joy for the heart. That's where to put our minds with risk. Risk isn't about the ego. It's your heart wanting to go out and play and change and expand. So when you're feeling like you want something new in life and that little risk voice is kind of talking to you, say, oh, that just means my heart wants to move into new territory. That's going to allow us to take our risks with joy and excitement. So C.S. Lewis says this, if you never take risks, you'll never accomplish great things. Everybody dies, but not everyone has lived. And that's really powerful. Really, really powerful. And it really lands us in that place of, wow, maybe I need to take more risks in my life. And, I've got to just kind of talk about risks and how he's saying great things. Because I know when I hear people saying, well, you got to risk because you have to do great things. And I'm telling you, you don't have to do great things. You don't have to go write a book. You don't have to go on a world cruise. You don't have to write the best-selling anything. You need to do something great for you. For you. And to do something great for you is moving outside of your limitations. That's great. That's great because you're giving yourself an opportunity to live a better life. No matter where you are in your life, no matter what has happened, better is possible. Whether it's just a little inch, a little movement, it doesn't matter. It's there for you. So when we take the risks, that's doing something great for you. So risk leads us to move beyond our self-imposed limits. I know for myself, I was very limited in so many areas of my life. I still bump into the walls and the edges. And when I feel the risk, I know it's time for me to let go of the imposition that we've all put upon ourselves. And it's normal. We've learned to play it safe. We've learned to just do something in life, be something in life that's reliable, that's dependable, that's safe, that always generates our good that we can count on. And then we do that, and then we realize life is kind of meaningless because we're not listening to our heart that wants to break the boundaries. And so risks teach us to go beyond the self-imposed because we're the only ones that have imposed them on ourselves. And so it's time to listen to the heart because, the heart doesn't know limit. The heart only knows love, expansion, growth. And so when we listen to that heart, those limits just dissolve because the heart breaks them all down. So I thought of a handy little acronym for RISK for us. So RISK, rise in spiritual knowing. Instead of going to that ego place of fear, let's move into a place of rising in spiritual knowing. Now, how many people know what I mean by knowing? How many people know? Yeah, a lot of you don't, and that's okay, because, we use the word know a lot here in our prayers, in our talks, because knowing to us came through Ernest Holmes and a lot of other New Thought teachers about knowing. So I'm going to ask you this. So knowing is really about knowing without a shadow of a doubt. For example, how many of you have been in a relationship where you knew that other person was going to disappoint you? Right? I had a boyfriend, never remembered my birthday, never. So I knew when my birthday came along, I was getting nothing. Oh, well, I broke up with him, you'll be glad to know. But there's a knowing, and that's kind of a silly, superficial way of describing it, but this knowing we all have inside of ourselves, where there's just such a trust, such an understanding, such an expectancy, because we know with every cell and fiber of our being. And that's the knowing that we speak of here when we talk about our spirituality or when we talk about our prayers. It's a knowing that spirit is right there and that spirit is the biggest, most amazing power there is. And when we know that, great things happen because we're plugged into that universal source of power that does everything. And our consciousness, when it is in alignment with that truth, everything comes in. So when we can stand in a place when we're in that risk and we go and rise up in spiritual knowing rather than fear, boy, you're going to experience the extraordinary. So my talk title is It Pays to Play. So I have to, holy confession, I love to confess up here. It's like I get all my stuff out and you guys hear it and then you say you are blessed and it's all good and I go into my week all refreshed. So I was reading the newspaper last week, and I was trying to find, I had all these things for my talk title, and nothing was landing. And there was a casino article, or advertisement, that said, it pays to play. I thought, there's my talk title right there. I love it. It pays to play. Right at the casino, it pays to play. You got to put some money down and play in order to receive your good. And so I saw it pays to play as a much more sophisticated spiritual truth, because life really is a game. It is a game. And there are things that happen in life where we feel like either the game is over or we have no power to play the game anymore. And I've started this wonderful group this week, the caregiving group, support group. How many of you were there? Yeah, really great group. You guys know I was a caregiver to my mom for about 12 years with my sister. And so when I met with this amazing group of people, it reminded me of my experience with my mom. She's passed 5 years now. But when she had her stroke and my life changed because she was now like number one in my life and my priorities, and I felt like I had no freedom and I kind of felt like I have no tools here and I'm out of the game. And when I was with the caregiver people this week, I realized many of them must be feeling like you have no freedom and you have no power in the game. But I reminded them that if you're alive here, you're in the game. You're in the game. And it's about bringing spirituality into the game that allows us to play. Because even though we see our lives and we think all the pieces are gone and the game is over, that is so not true. Because we have the ability inside of ourselves to play whatever game we're in at a higher level than what we might think when we bring in this understanding of spiritual power that every single person on this planet has inside of themselves. And so if we're feeling like we're not connecting, then we need to bring forward our spirituality because that's how we can continue playing no matter what. So Florence Scovel Shinn, who was a New Thought writer, speaker in like the 1930s, brilliant woman, she wrote a book called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And she says this: most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle, it is a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law. And I love this because spiritual law is the power. And something about God, casinos, you can run out of money. The game of life, you can never run out of money, you can never run out of resources, you can never run out of anything because God is your source and God is your power. So it's always there for you. Our job is to remember that. Our job is to do what we can to bring forward that energy and that wisdom of spirit so that we can use it to better our life circumstances. And I'm not gonna play games and tell you that you can just, any situation can go away and everything's just perfect. That is not real. That is not true. But any situation can be improved. Anything, when you bring your spiritual awareness to the table. The table, like the card table. Reverend William, you're rubbing off on me. But we can. This is our power, and this is what Florence Scovel-Shinn spoke of. We've got to bring spiritual law, and just like I talked about when I first opened this morning, is that we receive whatever we're open to receiving, and that's spiritual law. So if you are in a situation and you would like a little peace of mind, or if you're in a situation you could use a little more financial prosperity, or you're in a situation you could use some more friends, all you have to do is be receptive. Be receptive and know that because we are all spiritual beings, totally in the energy of spirit that answers our prayers, that brings forward that which we're an energetic match to, be that energetic match. No love, no happiness, no friendship, no financial prosperity. Feel it in your heart. I was watching a show yesterday, and it was talking all about the fact that we really don't need to try so hard to get things in our life. The thing is, you got to be it. You got to feel it. Feeling is everything. And I know sometimes we stop feeling because life just destroys us sometimes. It does. I get it. Been there, done that. But if you're still here and playing the game, you can change your heart, and you can feel again. Even if it's little small increments, you can feel something. And gratitude, I'll tell you, that's the easiest place to go. One thing to be grateful for, your heart's going to shift. That's the beauty of gratitude. So Florence continues to say, getting into the spiritual swing of, this was written in the 1930s, I love this. Getting into the spiritual swing of things is no easy matter for the average person. The adverse thoughts of doubt and fear surge from the subconscious. So we've got a lot of stuff going on in our subconscious mind. There's good stuff in there, life-affirming things, but a lot of stuff comes from our experiences where we were limited, where we were told, you cannot do that, you're not enough, you'll never achieve that. Those little messages sank in and planted themselves in our subconscious. And so when we're in life and we're wanting to change and expand ourselves, those subconscious fears are going to come up and they're going to grab us and they're going to stop us. And so it's really important when you're wanting to change, when you're wanting to expand, when something new is inviting you in and something behind you, inside you is saying, no, 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 there's an opportunity for awareness. There's an opportunity for you to see, why do I feel that way? Why am I denying this? Its full and complete expression. Why am I holding back? And you can ask yourself, maybe I have a message, an old belief that says, I can't. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Your conscious mind, and Ernest Holmes says this too, your conscious mind is so much more powerful than your subconscious. So we use the conscious mind, and we start untying that message by telling ourselves a new message, by praying, by doing our spiritual practice. And I will tell you, I am living proof of somebody who has changed a lot of negative messages. A lot of them. I would not be standing here today if I didn't work that stuff out. But I stopped believing in them by doing my affirmations, by doing my prayers. And now I am in a place where I can take risks without the chatter. And we can all achieve this, all of us. Keep coming to church, keep coming to classes, and you'll see that shift for you. So Florence says this, so we see, to play successfully the game of life, we must train the imagining, and this is her word, imagining faculty. So this whole idea, this whole activity of demonstration requires us to have an active imagination. The imagination is our heart's expansion, it's our vision. That which is not here yet, where do you think it comes from? Your heart and your imagination. And so we've got to start using our imagination. Say yes to the good that wants to come up and imagining it in our heart and imagining it in our minds, because as we teach here, what you believe, what you feel really, really strongly is going to be showing up in your life. So that's part of creating a successful game of life, to be able to use that imagination and create your biggest reality. So a lot of you know I like to watch TV when I'm not up here doing things and I have a moment to myself. And there's a show called Just Like That. It's the new incarnation of Sex and the City. Anybody watch it? Yeah, just 3 of you ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I love it when shows have spiritual truths. And so there's this character called Miranda, and she was talking about, she's had just a lot of failure this year. Oh my God, the poor thing. But it was such a really neat moment because she and Carrie were talking, and she was saying even though there were all these failures in her life and disappointments, she was really glad she did them anyways because they brought her into new territory. And it really impacted my heart because I realized that I had some unresolved issues around things that I didn't take risks on because I was too afraid, like love. I'm going to be really honest with you. I realized that I've been really holding back on love because I see the pain that love can bring. And also my childhood stuff with just a whole other story. But it made me realize I've held back because I didn't realize that even if I was in a really great love relationship and it ended, it would be okay because I would have gotten something. Something would have enriched me. I would have been brought to a whole new place that had I not stepped on that train, I wouldn't have gotten there. And so all new experiences like stepping on a train whose destination is unknown, right? We don't know where it's going to take us. But we are beings who need to keep moving. We need to be active. We need to be going and growing. And if we don't get on the train, we will never expand and evolve. So we're robbing ourselves if we don't get on that train. That might look like a risk because we want to know exactly where we're going. But people, we never know where we're going in life. It's all an experiment anyways. But to get on the train and to realize God is right there, that you have that power. When you bring that into these rides, to these experiences, you can never fail because you've got that power that is urging you to expand, to explore, to try something new. Whether it fails or not, you're evolving through it. And that is so necessary for our lives and for our journeys here because you know what? Our journeys aren't a long time, right? Our beloved Marty is proof of that. 91 years old, he had a long journey, but you know, they all end. And so it's imperative that we make the most of this. Get on the trains, go wherever they take you. The cool thing is, if you don't like the destination, there is always a new train pulling into the station. Always, always. That's the reality. That is the reality. So I invite you to start looking at your life a little differently today, to start looking at risks that maybe you wish you had taken and didn't, and see what new risks are there. And remember, look at that risk not through the ego, not through fear, not through I'm going to be losing something. No, look at it as rising up in your spiritual knowing. Because if you're feeling something like that risk energy, then there's something new for you to do that wants to express a newness of life, an expansion for you that is going to bring a greater experience of this time and space that we live in. So jump on in. There is so much waiting for all of us, not just the casino, but the casino of life that never runs out of anything. Thank you for listening to me. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.